Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is about that time. Keep your hands up and keep your head on a swivel. The Haymakers and Submissions podcast is here. We woke up and chose violence today. Stick and stay for combat sports talk at its finest, coming your way now. Welcome once again to the Haymakers and Submissions podcast. My name is Drew. He's Chops, and we're going to be talking all things combat sports. We'll be focused on boxing again this week. Chops, how are you doing?
Good, man. I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. When I saw the Canelo and Crawford fight's going to be on Netflix, I'm loving that.
I know. And you and I, again, had been going back and forth, and it's in our text, and honestly, I believe our listeners and watchers saw some of our texts. They might want to listen to that. Some, you know what I mean? What were some things we get into?
Depends on
what right. But and it's crazy because you and I are both geeked. It's on Netflix, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, and on the one hand, am I looking at, did Turk make a huge business move? Because he was, some of his other cards, he was giving away cheap regardless. You know what I mean? So the business aspect, how is he making it? What's he making? And then I said, but a lot of people are upset because there's like 8 fighters on there that nobody knows. I mean, nobody knows. Dana White is the one promoting this, and he does that a lot with UFC cards. The headliner is big time, and then it falls off after that, right? Matter of fact, there's a UFC this week, and it's doing the same thing, to be honest with you, right? There's a couple, whatever. So having said that, and then you were like, but dude, it's on Netflix. And I was thinking about that. Every time you and I, the old dinosaurs of the business, every time we see a pay-per-view, the first thing we look at, what's the cost? Because we don't want to pay for, and we don't even look at the entire card. We're looking at the headliner, and you hope that the undercard is nice.
Yes.
But we're looking at the headliner, we're like $70, $80. Are you kidding me? There's been a couple pay-per-view fights, $100. What? Freaking crazy. Mm-hmm. So now we're seeing $29.99, $19.99 in a couple. Oh, we're as happy as a kid at Christmas. Yeah. You know what I mean? Exactly. So it never hit me or you that the rest of the card is bogus. You know what I mean? Because not trying to be funny, other than Riyadh season, the B-Vol rematch, was it the first one where the card was stacked? It was 2, wasn't it? Wasn't it the second fight where the card was stacked? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, but normally we're not used to seeing cards like that. You have a big time headliner, and you might get another good fight, and it might only be because it's a prospect, not even an established name. So, and it's weird now that people are complaining, oh, look what we're paying for. You know, and like you said, they're not even paying for it. It's free on Netflix. You know what I'm saying? And even if you don't have Netflix, you know somebody that knows somebody that has Netflix. You're going to, you know what I'm saying? So
dig deep for a month and pay the $12 or whatever it is.
Yes. And it was crazy, man, because I was like, first thing I was thinking is people were ripping on this. And I'm not going to lie to you. I don't normally look at the undercard until maybe 2-3 weeks out, unless it's something like Riyadh season where they're pushing it out early to let you know this is going to be from bang to bullet. It's going to be, a good one. So I don't normally look, just being honest with you. I do on UFC and MMA more than I do on boxing, because with boxing, there are so many belts that don't matter. And I don't want to say don't matter. Or, organizations, we want you to have mandatory this, that, and the third, whatever have you. So a lot of times, and boxing's now just winning me back over the last few years, because I was hard into boxing, then I went away with it. You know what I mean? So on that aspect, so I was, man, people were complaining about it. And then you were like, but it's free. What are they complaining about? You know what I mean? I was like, that's our biggest thing. As long as I ain't got to pay to see a good fight, I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Hey, when Mayweather fought Pacquiao, what was it, in 2013?
20 something like that, 2013, 24, something around there.
It was $100.
I know.
And I couldn't tell you it was on the undercard.
No.
So would you rather have that? Okay. Would you feel better about that? I mean, cool. And
it's crazy because you also got me to thinking. Since earlier this morning, I was thinking, what would people be happier with? A card like Riyadh, the Riyadh card where it's stacked, but you got to pay $80 a card.
Oh, no, they bitch about that too.
Exactly. Or you get a card like what we've got that's I mean, I don't care who you are. You have to have both of these guys in your top 5 pound for pound current. You have to, right? So you get that fight. And everything that comes with it. And it's free. Who does it? It doesn't matter if you got our sister Lady Grace, Nun Catherine fighting. Like, you know what I mean? We'll watch that one if you get to see those two involved in it. You know what I mean? So and I was just thinking about that. Man, you really can't. There's some people you can't. You just they can't be happy. They just cannot be happy, man.
Well, we're happy, so there you go. I mean, people are gonna bitch about everything. You know what it is? But like, I live in Michigan near Detroit, right?
Yeah, man.
Unless it's 70 degrees, sunny, and not a cloud in the sky, someone's gonna complain about it.
Yeah,
it just is what it is. Like, so what do you want?
Exactly.
Remember this day in January when you're freezing your ass off.
Yes. Exactly.
No complaint about, I wish it was like that again. Oh.
Exactly. And I'm telling you, and it can get up to be 100 degrees. And I'll say, man, it's hot. Or I'll say, I love fishing. I'll say, man, it's too hot for me to go out and sit in the sun. But I'm not complaining about the heat because I grew up in Pittsburgh. So I do. And I used to love the snow back then. I used to love the cold weather. We went through this. I used to love it. But now you will never hear me complain about how hot it is and I'm miserable unless the AC or even the fan goes. A lot of times I won't even have the AC. Like my wife has been saying, Michael, please, it's like a monsoon in here. Last couple of days, it's gotten up to 85. I'll just open the windows and turn the fan on and get some breeze going through. She's like, that is not enough. And then I did. Yesterday, 2 days ago. Mm-hmm. Went by the thermostat and it did say 83 in the house. I was good. Oh, my wife was not happy. She was on my wife's side. I'm on her side. Cold. I can get warm. I can't get cold. She was not feeling it, man. She was not feeling it. I have a heater, especially when it becomes winter. Mm-hmm. I have a pretty decent size heater. It's not one of those small ones. It's one, if you put it beside you, it'll come up almost to your, it's a Black & Decker, comes up almost to your waist, right? Mm-hmm. It's pretty wide. And you turn it on, and then you can turn the heat from 76, and for some reason it tops out at 90. And you have low, medium, high. I'll shut our door, turn the heat on, and then I'll turn that on to 90. And my wife said, Michael, this is ridiculous. It's like sleeping in an terrarium. It is. It's rough, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I do keep it hot. I tell her it's because I'm a tropical people. All right. Okay. Can't argue. What you can't argue, right? You know what I mean? You're from Pennsylvania. So knock it off. All right. Let's jump into it now. Let's talk about Abdullah Mason. He had a nice performance. He defeats Nagatila in a TKO 5th round. First, what's your thoughts on his performance, Chops? Okay. This is going to go back and forth between us because I have questions and I want to see what your takes would be. Okay. Number one, I want to say he's just getting better every fight. His form looks better. His punches are more crisp. His footwork looks better. You see the confidence in his body movement. And then I want to stop and say, well, are his opponents truly getting better? I don't know. I don't know. But I do know, to me, what he's working on in the gym is paying off. All right. So what do you think? Do you think that's first part? Do you think so when you grab the mic, does he get better, or is his opponents just staying the same, or is he stepping up to better opponents and what he's working off in the ring is showing? You know what I mean? I would think about that. You know? So mostly I think he's getting better. I saw a marked improvement in his defensive style in this fight versus the last fight where he got floored, but obviously back and won the fight convincingly with the knockout, but he got hit often and he got knocked down. This fight, his defense, his guard was up. He fought. I mean, honestly, it was a very different Abdullah Mason. I liked the spirit of him. Now, Nakatila is a nice fighter, and I think his competition's improving. I wouldn't say this was a championship level fight, but it was a very good fight for him to have and to really show that he's disciplined.
he took the heart. They obviously worked on it in camp. He took the lessons from the tape from his last fight, and I saw him apply that. That's what I saw, and I really liked that.
And that is why I asked the question, even to myself, and then to answer my own question, I said he's getting better. Because, again, I couldn't tell you much about Nakathila and some of the other guys he's fought. Mm-hmm. However, I do realize no matter who you're putting in front of him, he's not having long nights, number one. And number two, his jab, like you talked about his defense, his jab looks better this fight than it did 2-3 fights ago.
Yes.
His defense looks better this fight than it did 2 or 3 fights ago. So regardless, even if the level of competition isn't getting better, we can tell he's getting better because the way he pops that jab, the foot movement, you know what I mean? Just not having his head on the line. And just the way he carries himself, man. Like you said, Cus D'Amato used to say, once you win a belt, you automatically get 30% better, right? Whatever have you. I don't know where the old timer got the old great got the saying, but it's been something that said it stands the test of time and people say it all over. Yeah. But I do see a more swag in him. You know what I mean? But whatever he and his team are doing in the gym, he's paying attention. Yeah. And when he got caught a couple fights ago and still got the win in the second round, third round, they are making the in-game adjustments, but he's listening. He's listening. If by this point, as long as they've been with him, he's 20 years old. At some point, you can, but a lot of times you are what you are. You know what I mean? And if you're not a listener, you don't follow a plan, it's going to be hard to get you to start to learn when at 20-some years old, once you're in the thick of it, in the fire. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And the fact that he's his coach, his team between rounds, and all they got is a minute. They're seeing a game plan and they're telling him how to execute it. And this young man is coming out and doing it. It's scary what he could be. It's scary what he can be and where, because he's only going to get better. Yeah.
To be coachable, that's huge.
Yes.
You've got to be coachable.
Absolutely.
Think about some of the best heavyweights like of the 90s and in the 2000s. Like I remember Lennox Lewis went to Kronk Gym like later in his career.
Yes.
Vladimir Klitschko later in his career. Well, actually right before he won the belt.
Yeah.
he had to relearn he
knew it. He knew. See, yeah. but see, here's the thing. Those guys went back because they had older trainers, right? They had older trainers, and even those trainers might have been humble enough to let them know there's only so much I can teach you, or this is where you can even get better, take it to the next level.
Yeah.
I am shocked with Abdullah because a lot of the cats in his age group aren't willing to say, I want to get better. No. They're willing to say it. They're not willing to do it. Prime example, say what you want, man. But the fact that, and I still say it, Wilder, when he fired his coach, you know what I mean? That to me, Breland, was whoa. Mm-hmm. Breland, an Olympian, I believe, Hellbelt, had been at the pinnacle. He was saving you. There was no chance for you to win that fight. You know what I mean? There was no chance. He was thinking past the moment, live for another day. Come back, we regroup, whatever have you. He ends up firing him. Where you saw, remember, like we talked about the Teddy Atlases, the Michael Moores, Dundee, whatever, they would get on their fighters, but they had that love. They knew that was coming from a place of love. I don't think fighters get that nowadays. They don't get it as in, this is how I get better. This is, I've been caught it all my life. Not even mommy or daddy has ever told me no, so why are you telling me no? I don't like this. You know what I mean? So Abdullah, and I asked the question, but I knew what my answer was going to be, but I did want you to answer first. Mm-hmm. I do think he is getting better.
Yeah.
And yes, Nakathila has had knockouts. Nakathila has reach. It really didn't play a part. It really didn't.
No.
To me, in my mind, he, as in Mason, did what he wanted to do. And the greatest thing about it, he didn't rush it. He did not rush it. That was pretty. I like that. That's maturity that either you have or you don't have.
Yeah, and maturity for a 21-year-old guy. I mean, that's impressive. Hey, Marcellus Wallace said it. Pride only hurts. It never helps.
There you go.
Yeah, you got to put that aside. Well, so what's next for Mason in your mind?
Okay. I know what's going on. I've heard some things. I've been reading some things, but I don't want to talk about it just yet because we're going to get into later what happened that weekend, and it'll all tie into it. You know what I mean? It'll all tie into. We'll work it back there.
All right, well, let's jump to our next fight we want to cover here: the Fabio Wardley Justis Huni fight. Really good fight. Surprisingly, I was very entertained, but Wardley gets the knockout in the 10th round. He captures the interim WBA heavyweight championship. Your thoughts on this one first, Chops, and how you enjoyed this or not, and I got my views on it too. But go ahead.
I'm going to be short and to the point first off, then I want to let you get in.
Okay.
Yes, I enjoyed it. We're not a couple of Nostradamuses on here. We can't, you know what I mean? We can't predict the future. We don't seem to be clairvoyant. However, we said it. He, as in Huni, had the skills.
Oh, yeah.
He had the skills to upset him. He had the skills to make this interesting because Huni was the best boxer that Wardley had faced, but not for 1 minute, because we even referenced Fury against Wilder. Remember, Fury was winning that, and you took it because you don't play boxing. He, as in Huni, left his head on the line too long for a moment, got out of pocket. Basically, at that point, you didn't even need to be in the pocket with him. You had 10, 11, and 12. You could have given those rounds away and still won the fight. You literally could have thrown 3 punches that round and just been on your horse and still won the fight. But like you said, pride. What do you say? Pride never helps. It always hurts. You know what I mean? And that's what happened. He wanted to stay in the pot. He was tearing Wardley's face up, but he got confident. He just stayed there a little bit too long, and it cost him. I'll get into my ins and outs in a minute, but that's what bothered me. I don't, and I'll be honest with you, I wasn't paying attention. I was fast forwarding, because I record all the fights. And I don't know why I did this, but I was fast forwarding between rounds, where normally I like to listen to what the corner says. And I wasn't for some reason, because I wanted to know, if you were watching, were the corner getting on his ass to not stand in front of him? Don't stand in front of him. You don't need to do what. Do you remember if that was being said or not? Or
I don't recall if they were telling Huni that or not. But I do know, I had at that point 6 rounds to 3 in favor of Huni. Now the DAZN guys, I think, had it 7-2.
Yes.
Round. I was kind of. I'll be honest with you. If it was a tied round, I was giving it to Wardley because of what it was.
He's a champ,
and he's in the UK too. It's like they're
you knew the home cooking.
Yeah, so I'm trying to be realistic with it, and I still had Huni up 6-3. So I agree with you. If he would have just kept his distance and just been active in 2 of the last 3 rounds, he would have won the fight easily. It only takes one shot, and Wardley's got huge power, man. It was right on the button, man. So I thought it was a really good fight. It was. The first 3 rounds were I had that. The first 3 rounds I had at 2-1 Wardley, and then Huni started taking over. And by the 6th, 7th round, it was like, whoa,
wow, yes.
Then when it hit the 8th, when you said if it hits the 8th round or goes deeper, this is going to be a great fight, and it was. It went.
Yeah. And I hit, and it would have back went different, but I said the same thing. If it goes into the 8th or later, it's not good for Wardley. However, you had to see.
And it wasn't.
This fight, though, to me, comes down to 2 words: experience and power. Because Huni doesn't have a lot of experience.
No.
Because had he had the experience, I don't think he would have sat there with him. I just don't think he would have. Now, Fury, who had the experience with Wilder, he did the same thing. But Fury had never, I don't know if Fury had ever been knocked down, or not many times in his career, never been knocked out. So he probably didn't feel he could be knocked out. You know what I mean? He didn't feel, and with his technique, he figured he could see that overhand right. You know what I mean? But again, Huni, and I'm not going to say it because I don't know what his corner was saying. And the corner can tell you everything. You may listen, you may not listen, because once that bell rings, it's only you inside that square circle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was the fact that he did not have the experience to know tie up more, because Wardley was still getting off inside. He was winning it because you saw Wardley's face. He punished Wardley.
Oh yeah,
he punished him. But as we know, older cats know, and all older guys tell you, the last thing to go in a fighter is his power.
Yeah.
Last thing to go is his power. You know what I mean? The timing, the speed, the movement may not be there. Power is the last thing to go.
Power's there.
And the experience and the power was the difference. Because to me, and it was weird, and I thought it looked good. Because like you said, first 2 out of 3, whatever have you, that was Wardley. And then, like that, like a light switched, Huni was like, yo, I got a nice jab. I move. I go to angles. I got a toolbox. Let me get into it. Let me see what he can deal with.
He's got fast hands.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we knew that. We knew that. Now, I'll be honest with you. I didn't know it was going to be so prevalent. I didn't realize we were going to be able to see it like that. Okay.
True.
You know what I mean? And I did think at some point, even though he had that, I thought Wardley would be able to walk through some of it. But he was stinging Wardley. He was making him pay. He was making him pay in winning rounds. And like you said, I did the same thing. Some of those rounds that were close, but most of them weren't. Most of them weren't. But here's the thing. Do they run it back? Now, you know, if Huni to one, they'd rerun it back, the rematch clause. Will Huni run it back? I'd like to see him get another 2 or 3 fights, and I only say that because they're both still young.
I agree.
I think now if he was to run it back, he knows he can box, but I think he may be hesitant because he would be fearful of that power. I think. You know what I mean? I do think. But again, I'd like to see him run it back. But I do believe Huni, his stock rose. He invested himself. He took that fight. And I think, yes, you got knocked out late, which people expect you to get knocked out a whole lot earlier. I think Huni earned himself some money, earned himself some more fans, and he's earned himself, like, people are going to now know the name Justin Huni. They're going to know that name.
And the thing is, I believe he took the fight on 5, not like short notice like Bacoli, 40.
Yeah, but it was a short camp.
5 weeks.
Because your boy pulled out.
Jamal Miller.
Yes. Now, he was saying it was an injury. A lot of people in the background are saying he and his promoter are beefing, you know what I mean? So, which, that's crazy. But why promoters still try to get over on fighters? They're the ones risking life and limb. You've got multiple fighters you're promoting.
Yeah.
Why try to get 15% out of all your fighters? And I'm just picking that number arbitrarily.
Yeah.
Why try to get 15% out of all your fighters when 10 to 12% will do? You don't take a lick of punishment. You know what I mean? So, and you're right, but he did. He took it on short notice. But it was a classic case of stand stagnant for 1 second too long. That's all it takes. 1 second too long when you're dealing with a monster like that with that power, and he'll pay you. I know you saw Wardley's face at the press conference.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Wardley had the look of a loser, man. He really did.
Oh, no question. Yeah. Just looking at them both, you would have thought Wardley lost the fight. Absolutely.
But it was a good one, and I'm glad Huni. But now let me ask you this: if you're Wardley, how do you feel you set up in the heavyweight division?
That's a really good question. You know, and I haven't looked at the rankings, so I don't know where he's stacked up. Obviously, WBA is the interim champion, so he's basically number 2 to Usyk. Yeah. But the other governing bodies, I don't believe they had him in the top 10 in any of them at this point. Now, I'm sure he's probably maybe should jump up into the top 10 at least. Honestly, you think about it. I mean, let's talk about I think he can hang with Miller. Jared Anderson, I mean, his stock's just like plummeting. I mean, Bacoli, I mean, big tough guy, but I think honestly, that's a fight I wouldn't mind seeing.
Yeah. Well, see, here's the thing. With Wardley and his skill set, I think he's perfect for the heavyweight division now. Because if you'd went back to the early 2000s, if he was transported to the early 2000s, the 90s, the 80s, no. Because those heavyweights worked in behind jabs. Those heavyweights had some boxing skill. You know what I'm saying? So having said that, and you figure they were smaller and faster, and they worked on their craft. They were faster than Huni. These, other heavyweights years ago, they worked on their jab. So I think that would have given them problems. But now think about this, right? But Coley has a jab. He has a jab, right? But he's going to be easy to find because he always stands in front of you. But Coley will give as good as he gets if he has some time to get his camp in. That would be intriguing to me because who lands their monster right hand first? That's what I'd want to see on that one. Okay. Now you got Usyk. Usyk's Wardley's size. He's lighter, I believe, but they're both, and he's shorter. He's smaller.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about a jab. And not saying because he's smaller, because a smaller man cannot jab a larger man because the jab is on timing. If a jab is part of your arsenal. And Usyk has a jab, but he doesn't use it as a piston. He doesn't use it as something to help get him in. He doesn't help it to put it in your eyes, to blind you. He doesn't use it that way. He uses it, let me see if I can just score points, occupy time, whatever have you. And Usyk does like to fight in close. I don't know. Honestly, if you took the names away and what they've accomplished, I don't know that I'd be so easy to say that Usyk would beat Wardley because of the way they fight. You know what I'm saying? Because of the matchups make styles. Now, Joshua, if his head's on,
I was thinking
he could be nice. Dubois, if it's don't forget, but Dubois got hit because he just lost technique. He got hit against Joshua.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really interested to see how Dubois comes into this fight against Usyk, because you're going to have to show us some skill set. Go to the body. I want to see a jab.
Well, he had a good game plan when they fought the first time.
And I don't want to say the man quit, but it was like he was going. He's like, I'm screwed. I'm done. I don't know, man. I don't know, because I think that's why he fell. A lot of people felt that he quit, or I don't want to say quit. I hate to say that word, but gave in, or
I think he got discouraged.
Yeah.
That shot, you and I both, I think we both agree that was not a low blow.
I thought it was iffy, but I was not calling it low. I thought it was on the belt because it hit him on the belt, and you guys know, and you have to do that with certain fighters, and Usyk is going to be one of them. You wear your belt that high, you're suspect, because under that was the tender belly. You know what I mean? Like, it was tender, but that was body shot to me, man. That was a body shot to me.
I agree.
So, now, you have Zhang. Zhang's got a nice jab, but how long can he go? How can he go? You know what I'm saying? So would Wardley be able to take his jab for a few rounds? Because we just saw Zhang run out of gas. You know what I mean? Herbovic has a decent jab, but it's easy to close the distance on him. So I understand that he wasn't really ranked that high as in Wardley.
Mm-hmm.
And you talk about it now that he's got the interim belt, he'd be ranked higher. But that's my problem with boxing. How do you fight a guy that isn't ranked, that only had 17 fights, that he wasn't even ranked, and now you win him, and now you're ranked higher? That's not how that should go, But hey, God bless him. He's got the belt now. He's interim. Hey, it doesn't matter how you got here. Now you're here. You know what I mean? So
exactly. And I'm actually looking up the rankings now. I'll put the Harry Carries down here, and let me see. By the way, I am going to be making a cosmetic change in a couple weeks, so stick and stay, everybody. Wait, in a couple of weeks you might see a different Drew.
Oh man, I don't know, man. They might miss the signature rep, their signature specs. I'll
give you a hint. It's from the Flipper Purify collection, and we'll leave it at that. If you don't know what that is, Google it. I'm not I'm really not seeing him here other than for the WBA. Honestly, that's
now,
which makes zero sense. How is Derek? Honestly, think about this. How is Derek Chisora the 7th ranked fighter for the WBO? And I don't even see. Wardley. They actually dropped him. Okay, that's garbage. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I wasted a lot of time right there. That's
exactly.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
So,
but again, we talked about it, man. Most of the names now, you got Huni, young, Wardley, young, Clark. He's not there young, but he's still relatively young. He's not in his late 30s, 40s. So we have some names. What is he? Samoan, Hawaiian, Imatuo? I can't think how you pronounce his name. He's a young heavyweight.
Yeah,
it's crushing cats. So, but again, we're not seeing great skill set. We're seeing a lot of power, but we're not seeing a lot of skill set. That's what bothers me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Rocky Balboa, not a lot of Apollo Creed.
Exactly. So we'll see where it goes, man. But Huni definitely, his stock has definitely risen.
Yeah, I want to definitely. I like to see him run it back, but I agree with you. I'd like to see a couple. They're young enough, or let's get a couple more fights for each of them. And if they're both the stock's still rising, make it happen.
Yeah, let's run it back. Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of stocks, we're gonna talk about one that's falling very rapidly. Keyshawn Davis. So not only has he failed to make the weight against De Los Santos in the fight, and then ends up having the fight get scrapped in Norfolk, his hometown. Mason's fight becomes the main event, but then his brother gets beat by Albright, and then there's a scrum in the locker room and in the vestibule down in the stadium. He and his brother are involved. Talk about it, Chops. What the hell is going on with Keyshawn Davis?
Okay, the first thing that is weird to me, the locker room brawl, nothing's come out on in social media.
No.
They were supposed to be. Now, when Nair tells the story, Albright told the story, he said we were in there and they were right beside us, the walls of paper thin, they probably heard us celebrate. Every celebration you've ever seen in any sport, somebody has got their camera out, their own cell phone out, documenting. I don't know if once this happened, if security was there, took all the phone. I don't know what happened, but I'm surprised we have not seen any footage of that. Now, we did see the little melee scrum, whatever, in the hallway.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's my first thought. Why have we not seen any video of this? Number one. But that's neither here nor there. Number two, Santos has said it since the fight was called off. He ducked me. He didn't want this. And you're like, yeah, you're talking trash. Everybody says that. Just want to make yourself feel better. But I started thinking about it, Drew. He said he pushed me at the weigh-in. He said, I don't know. Has he ever done that before? I've never seen Davis act like that at a weigh-in where he's put his hands on anybody. I don't know. He might have.
To tell it straight though, Santos put his hand on his belt, and that's when he pushed him. He's like, you got to earn this.
Yeah. True. He did. And then he pushed him. He said, but I think he pushed me in the way he pushed me, because a lot of times you'll see guys do that and they'll slap their hand down, but he pushed them, right?
Yeah.
He said he pushed me, hoping I'd swing back, get disqualified, cancel the fight.
Oh yeah.
Then when he reweighed in after missing weight, they're talking about when you saw him, he wasn't sweaty, he wasn't hot, he wasn't mushy. He didn't even try to make weight. He did not even try to make weight, number one, or number two. Then they talked about it, and I was thinking, and he's been saying he's been ducking me. And I thought about this. You knew you were having a hard time making weight. Now, you can't do a catch weight because it's for the belt. Can't do that. However, I don't care if it would have cost you 50% of your purse, because they were trying to get to some level playing field on why they could still hold the fight. But regardless of what happened, Keyshawn said, or Santos wouldn't accept it. Keyshawn wasn't offered, so the fight was called. Keyshawn, you blew this. You're at home. Top rank, put all this money in you, and you're blowing it. I don't care because you didn't do what you were supposed to do. If you got to give up 50% of your purse, give up 50% of your purse. Find another local sponsor to make it up. I don't know.
Yeah.
Give up half your purse, win this fight, do what you're supposed to do, either call it quits at 135 and move up, whatever. That's not the way to do it, in my opinion. In my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I text you when they said the fight's off and they showed him in the arena, he was eating popcorn and smiling. Mm-hmm. I said, does that look like a guy who's pissed? Come on, dog. Seriously? You know what I mean? So I hate to do, fighters. I know I won that fight. Dude, no, you didn't. We've all seen you lose. You know what I mean? But fighters still say that. I thought I won. Caleb Plant said it. I thought I did enough. No, you didn't. I know that's you're supposed to, but no, you didn't.
Yeah.
But Santos might really be onto something. He might really. And think about this. Before we recorded this, it's been multiple days. I personally have not seen nor read a public apology from Davis yet.
No.
Or any of DB3 have not seen it, or their management.
I think actually and forgive me, I don't remember. There's was it Keon who got beat?
No, I thought Kelvin got. I don't know.
He's the one that spoke out. It was, and I don't want to misquote it, so I'm not going to do it. But I know he did release a statement. But and you kind of touched on something there. Like I've heard Bud Crawford and a couple others talk about
Bomac and Crawford went in public and apologized to Albright. Crawford and Bomac, the promoter, the boxer, his trainer, and Crawford, who's tight with Davis, apologized. It was just a bad look, man.
And I know you can tell, like, when you're
Keon, he's the one that won. Kelvin lost.
Okay, so was Kelvin? I think Kelvin made a statement. I will have to check that. But bottom line is, even Bud said, "Yeah, I get it. If you want to move up and you've kind of outgrown the weight class, I get that. I've been there." But then he's like, and it was very difficult, but I made weight, and he made that point. He didn't call out Davis. He's not going to call his boy out, but he did say, "I made weight." So he did call him out without really calling him out. It's like, dude, yeah, we all get it, and it was a bitch to do it, but you needed to do it, and you didn't, and it's not a good look.
Well, let me ask you this, Drew, and think about all the fights you can remember. Go back to being a young whippersnapper.
All right.
When have you seen a guy outgrow a weight class overnight? No, seriously, you just won the belt at this weight. This was your first defense, and we clowned, and he was the challenger. We clowned Garcia for being 3.5 over.
Yeah, drink
3.5 over
on the scale, drinking a beer. So
yes, 3.5. Davis at home was more than that.
Yeah.
And my thing is this. Okay, number one, you're right. If you want to step up, win the fight, and then say, "This is it. I'm done." I don't care if you relinquish the belt right there in the ring.
Yep. Oh, we lost your mic, Chops.
Can you hear me now?
There we go.
Okay. What I was saying was, even if you want to relinquish the belt in the ring, that's fine. But at home, you're present. But I told you that thing they have on ESPN, Camp Life, they do it for multiple fighters.
Yeah.
He was at Norfolk State spring game. They're having the communities coming out to see him. Michael Vick's in it. Allen Iverson's in it. If they aired 24 to 25 minutes of actual footage, excluding commercials, I saw him in the gym maybe 7 minutes, and I saw maybe 1 or 2 minutes of him getting a good sweat. I told you before the fight started, this does not look like a camp he put work into. I didn't. And I also saw in interviews where he was carrying himself a little differently. He was carrying himself a little bit more cocky, a little bit more arrogant. I don't know, man. And here's the thing. Okay. So I didn't like any of that. He's still not come out. Here's where, real quick, you asked what's next for Abdullah Mason.
Yeah.
Did you see Bob Arum has already said he's switching all his energy to Abdullah Mason? It was for Keyshawn. Now it's for Mason. Top Rank is already putting money into Mason. Yeah. Now Mason is I can't. He's from the UK. He's a fighter at 130. They're looking at right now having him and Mason fight for the vacant belt that your boy just abandoned. But they're saying that Abdullah has already agreed. I'll go to the UK if I need to. So this young man is hungry and he's ready to do it. And I honestly don't know. And I don't want to call anybody out, but I don't know if the heat was just getting too much because he at 130, 135, 140. I don't know what was going on with Keyshawn, but if you'd asked me this 3 weeks ago, a month ago, I would have never expected this from him because I thought he was, as he called himself, the businessman. I thought he was going to be a businessman. Make weight, conduct yourself accordingly, do whatever you have to do. I've seen wrestlers, I've seen MMA guys literally have to be held and then let go for a quick second just to make weight. because of some of the way these boxers and wrestlers were doing it, they stopped letting them weigh in 2 days before the fight because they were draining themselves so bad. And you know what I mean? And then guys barely making it, shutting down organs damn near. So now Keyshawn didn't do any of that. So what's going next for Mason to tie this all back into the bow? They're putting their money back into him. You said it, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't think it was going to be that hard for Keyshawn to bounce back, but I also thought he'd realize the PR side of this and apologize, eat some humble pie, say I was just frustrated in myself. I was at home and I knew I let so many people down. He's even taking, I hate to say more of the coward act, more of the childish act, not coming out at all. That's even worse to me. That's even worse.
Well, that tells me he's got the wrong people around him, and he's kind of leading his inner circle. And that's all well and good with your entourage, but when you're talking about being the businessman, you need a trainer.
Yeah.
Older, you gotta listen to your trainer.
Dude, but I'd like to see how that all went down. Them jumping Albright, because seeing that Bo Mack went and apologized, his trainer who's been there like a second dad, as he said to him, like a second father to me. I'd have to believe Bo Mack is keeping it straight up and down like 6 o'clock with him and telling him what to do. I think part of it may just be level-headed, or excuse me, a knuckleheaded, not level-headed, and doing what he wants to do. There's no way Bo Mack was in that locker room and watched him walk out or didn't try to grab. I don't know, man. I just find it. And Crawford, both of them there? No, man. There's no way those guys knew what was going on. There's no way those guys knew what was going on. And real quick, what you said about Bud. Bud was talking to him. He said, and I'm not going back to 147. Because somebody asked me, like, you made weight and it's been hard. Like, what about 147? Could you make it? He said, I'll never go back to 147. He already knows he can't make it. But he had been outgrowing that for a minute.
Yeah.
But I've never seen anybody outgrow a weight class overnight.
No. You can, if you down a couple pizzas and a few beers, you can do it.
Every day at training camp.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
And he's still only 23, 24, and you had a hard time by 4 pounds missing weight? Nah, you can't tell me you tried on that, brother. I'm not buying that. The price is too high.
I hear you, man. So it's going to be interesting to see how that unravels, but definitely looking forward to seeing what happens to Abdullah Mason.
Me too.
Definitely looking forward to that. Let's look ahead now. We got some fights coming up this weekend, quite a few. We're only going to be able to talk about a few due to time, but Richardson, Hitchins, and George Kambosos Jr. for the IBF Junior Welterweight Championship that Hitchins has. That's in New York City this Saturday. This is going to be an interesting fight, Chops. How do you see it?
Okay, well, I want you to go first because you said something that made me think. You just said this is going to be an interesting fight. Tell me why.
Okay, well, one, Kambosos is getting another title shot, and not sure he really is in line for one. But
True.
We look at who he's fought, and I know, Father Time keeps ticking. He loses twice to Devin Haney.
At the time, we thought Devin Haney was no shame in that.
Nope, not at all. He beats Maxie Hughes by a majority. He gets a majority decision. He gets TKO'd in the 11th by Loma. And then he comes back and beats Jack Wiley. Gets a unanimous decision win back in March. So but then before that, he's the one blemish on Tio Lopez's record.
I know.
He's a dangerous opponent for a guy like Hitchins, and that's why I think it's an interesting fight, because Hitchins is a really, really good boxer. He's got a good skill set. I mean, we take a look at his records. He's 19-0, only 7 knockouts though. So Hitchins is going to outbox you and outquick you and outwork you, but he's not necessarily going to knock you out.
Correct.
This is not a power puncher per se, but again, he's fought some big name fighters and he's fought them tough, and he even got the win over Theo. So if the A+ version of Kambosos shows up and Hitchins' B- shows up, we could see something interesting happen in this one. That's why I think it's a really interesting fight.
Okay. And you do make good points on that. Here's where I push back on a little bit of that.
Okay.
So first off, let's start with Tio. Tio truly had an off night that night, and I say that because, well, he was going through, let's not forget, he was going through a divorce. Remember, he also tried to retire and all that, whatever happened. We thought it was a ploy, so his wife couldn't get in his future earnings, whatever have you. I'm not sure how that all worked out. But we know he was going through some things back home because Tio had a couple bad nights in the ring, a couple bad fights where he barely got through, and his stock was dropping, right? So, having said that, I equate that night to more of that, right? Because when you look at Kambosos, he has been there to bring it. But look at now, again, I understand they're big time fighters. But once you beat Teofimo, right? You got a split decision, but you did beat him. You came, you worked, you hustled, and you got that fight. Where was that one? That was in New York, right? It wasn't even over in the Cross Point. It was in New York. No, it was in New York, right? So
yeah, it's at the Garden Theater, yeah.
Yeah. So having said that, right, and they did not fight in Australia. That was here, but he wanted here, which was huge.
Mm-hmm.
But when you put him in the ring with Alomo, when you put him in the ring with Devin Haney, he was outmatched. Yeah. He's scrappy. He's ready to bang, but I don't know how good he is. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So yes, he's going to be scrappy. Yes, he's going to fight. Now you're right. If Hitchins isn't on his game, he can get outpointed. But the smart money to me is I got to go with Hitchins. I'm not looking for a war. I'm not looking for a lot of blood. I'm not looking for a lot of power shots. I'm not looking for anybody, to be honest with you, anybody to hit the canvas. I'm really not. Mm-mm. But I am looking for Hitchins to be on his game boxing. I am looking for Kambosos to say, whatever you hit me with, I'm coming back for more. You know what I mean? So it's interesting on the aspect of, will Kambosos have his best night? On the aspect of, we know he's going to be gritty. We know he's going to be grimy. We know that, right? But we also know when top-ranked guys, I'm not putting Hitchins in Lomo's category. I'm not putting him in Devin Haney's category at the time when Haney was there then, right? But he's nice with his skill set. He is in Hitchins has a nice toolbox.
Yes, he does.
And if he does what we know he's capable of, I expect it to be a unanimous decision. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw 116, 112. I just wouldn't. You know what I mean? He's on 117, 111 only because of the skill set. If he makes it to where I'm not really worried about Kambosos' power. You know what I mean? Now, again, Kambosos is not worried about his, so they're going to be standing in front of each other. However, Hitchins has more make you miss.
Yes, he does.
So if I'm telling you, if you told me it's unanimous decision anywhere from 115, 113 to 117, 111, I can see it. If you tell me Kambosos wins this, I'll give him his flowers, but I'll be very, very, very surprised if Kambosos wins this.
I would agree with you there too. Although obviously Kambosos has the better resume, but not the better record. I mean, the big fights he fought, he's 1-3 in those fights, right? He's got the bigger names. So you would have to assume inside the square, he is seen more. Yeah,
he knows. You know what I'm saying? And no not trying to be funny, but he lost to Devin Haney and he lost to Lomo. Right now, those are two different fighters. Now, if I'm going to put anybody, I would put Hitchins more of a Haney than a Lomo. Yes. Lomo's going to stand there. He might make a miss, but he's also going to deliver some power shots. Hitchins isn't delivering power shots. So I just want to see how Kambosos is going to do with another guy that doesn't stay in front of you. You know what I'm saying? He moves more. He's not going to be there to engage. He's not going to knock you out. And when I say Hitchins is not going to be there to engage a lot. He's not going to be there to knock you out a lot. He's going to move, not be on his bike, but he's going to use some real estate.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So I want to see if he's able to touch, move, stay off the angles, keep his head off the line. How does Kambosos react with that? We know how Kambosos is going to react if a guy stands in front of you. Hell, it took him a minute, but Lomo eventually got him. You know what I mean? Because you stayed in front of me a little too long. Now, Devin Haney didn't get him because Haney was moving, sticking, whatever have you, and he just did that. But I just don't see how they're. I'm not even saying he has a puncher's chance because he's not a knockout guy, as in Kambosos. but I just don't see how Kambosos loses or wins this one. I don't.
No, and I agree with you. And Vegas does too. Hitchins is a minus 1,200 to win the fight. Outright.
Wow. Now I wasn't going that high. I did. I guess so. They're looking more like a 116, 112, 117, 111. Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I got you.
It makes sense, but I'll tell you what. I think it will be an entertaining 116, 112 or 117, 111. I think it'll be a good fight to watch
because nobody is going to knock either guy out.
No,
and Kambosos will give as good as he gets. I just think at the end of every round, man, you landed 9, 8, 10 good shots, George. Damn. But you missed a lot, and Hitchins landed 10, 12 nice shots. You know what I mean? So it's not going to be, man, get him out of there. He's about to get knocked out. This man's getting killed. But it is, he's just outclassed. And I'm a Kambosos guy. I do like Kambosos, but there comes a time when every head must bow and every tongue must confess. I just don't see him getting this win. I don't.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think 116, 112 is a pretty fair judgment. Yeah, UD. Yeah. So I think you'll get it. Let's talk about, in my view, one of the most underrated fighters in boxing right now is Brian Norman Jr. He's the world welterweight champion, WBO champion. He's taking on Jin Sasaki, who's 19-1-1 with 17 knockouts. And this fight's actually taking place on Juneteenth, June 19th on Thursday. So let's talk about this one.
Okay. Go ahead. You can kick it off. I always say you want to kick it off. Go ahead. Kick it off.
Yeah, Norman Jr. He is a very talented fighter. They're both young guys. He's 24. Sasaki's 23.
3-3.
Yeah, so I mean they're young guys. I really had trouble finding the odds for this fight. Sasaki's not a super known fighter, but he's got 7 KOs and 19 wins.
I don't think he's ever fought outside of Japan.
No, I don't believe he has.
And this one is in Japan, which is weird because now here's the thing. Norman will make money. He's going to do his thing. When I say make money, go over and try to perform, whatever have you. But you're the champ. Why are you going over there? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But it is in Japan, so it'll be an early morning fight. But Top Rank will have it, so we will get to watch it, 7, 8 a.m. ring walk, whatever have you. But, to me, right now, Norman looked good in his last fight. He's looked good, but his last fight was that he looked really good. Yeah. Then he started calling out boots. So now he's getting more eyes on him. Because Sasaki is not well known, if I'm pronouncing his name, or Sasaki.
Sasaki, yep.
He's not well known, but he's got power. And be honest with you, man, I don't know if you want to put it directly towards Inoue or whatever, but these Japanese fighters are getting more exposure. They're getting more exposure. So even though a lot of the average fans may not know him, he is in Sasaki, has power. So Norman can't stand in front of him. He just can't stand in front of him.
No.
And any rounds that are close, I hate to be this way, I think they're going to get a little home cooking. I think Sasaki's going to get a little home cooking. So on that aspect, I think that Norman has to go over, be on his – to me, this is like we love football. Just follow me. Follow me for a quick minute. To me, in passing is a bad play because only 3 things can happen and 2 of them are bad. If you pass, it can be complete to your guy, which is good. It can be incomplete. Now you lost it down, which is bad. Or it can be intercepted. That is bad. So only 3 things can happen and 2 out of the 3 are bad, right?
Yeah.
So, yes, you're the champ and you're fighting a guy your skill set is better than. However, you've got to travel to him, right? I don't know how long you're going to be there, but let's hope your body gets into everything, the food, everything sets well with you. Great, okay? But you're going to him. You're in a new environment. Your body has to adjust. You're fighting a guy that is not well known but has power. So if you beat this guy, but it's by razor thin, stock drops. If this guy ends up getting a knockout, your stock drops. If you get the decision, 115, 113, I just think more bad can happen than good than going to him. You know what I'm saying? And you're fighting at 7 a.m. You should have made him come here, put him on a top-ranked card with somebody else, whatever have you, so more people can see you. Not trying to be funny, but unless it's cats like me and you, not a whole lot of people are going to see him at 7 a.m. on a Thursday.
No.
You know what I mean? So that's what stinks to me. But I'm hoping he, as a Norman, comes out, does his thing, walks away with the belt in decisive fashion or knockout. Now, that's going to be the thing, because they are going to be coming back at him with a guy who has power. Now, he is in Sasaki, may not have a lot of head movement. His defense may be trash. I don't know, because I haven't seen enough of him. Of course, I've only seen highlights. Highlights are all him knocking out, right?
Sure.
And I don't know the level of the fighters that he's fighting. But I know he has power. I just don't know how he deals with shots coming back at him.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I think it's a very fair assessment, because when you see a fighter's resume and you don't recognize any names on it, but you like Sasaki, but he's got 17 KOs and 19 wins. Okay, I believe that's what his record is. 19-1-1 with 17 knockouts. Yeah, so yeah, he's got power. Let's test that chin.
I know
That chin.
That's it. And he's going. But Sasaki starting out, he's going to give as good as he gets. Now, here's the thing: what I'm going to watch early on. Mm-hmm. In a way, like you remember years and years ago in the 80s and 90s, there was always the European fighters and British fighters were mechanical. They fought almost like Rock'em Sock'em Robots. They say they were real mechanical, right?
Yeah.
And that's why we didn't have a lot of British champs, because they're just mechanical. Okay, great. But so I don't know a whole lot about Japanese fighters. But when I'm looking at, in a way, and I'm assuming since he's the big guy, a lot of the people are trying to follow him. Hell, look at Sasaki, dyeing his hair blonde, whatever have you.
He looks similar to him.
Yes, absolutely. So, but as much as he, as in a way, does throw a nice jab in boxes, he throws with a lot of power. Yeah. So having said that, if Sasaki comes out, throws his jab, but is thrown with a lot of power, if Norman gets clipped early, how does he respond? Because Norman's going to have to come out, and I don't know about Sasaki. Can he deal with a boxer that's fast, gets his head off the line, has nice movement, comes at angles? This is going to be a lot of question marks for everybody, because even the tape that Norman has seen of Sasaki, it's not against the same level that he has.
True.
There's nobody, they're different fighters. And when I say different fighters, different approaches, different. So I don't know how much you can see, he's got a nice hand right because he's knocking everybody else out with it. Oh, that uppercut is nice, whatever have you. Now, you might say he telegraphs his right hook. He steps out when he throws that uppercut. There might be something like that you can see, but you can't judge on his skill set because he hasn't fought anybody like Brian Norman. Anybody. Because you can normally say, well, yeah, so-and-so, whatever. And he had a quality even against Kambosos. We did have a quality win against Lopez. Regardless of how long ago that was, we can still resort back to that.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? We don't have that for Sasaki. So it will be an interesting fight. It'll be an interesting fight because Sasaki throws heavy leather. He knocks cats out. This is a new area for Norman. He's crossing the other side of the world. I'm interested in that aspect myself because of that.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun fight to watch. I think I'm going to go with Norman, but I think it's going to go the distance. I'll be honest with you. I don't think, and I'm erring on, it's a gutless call on my part, I guess. But at the same time, I think Sasaki's skill set and what I've seen of him, he's going to give Norman problems, but I don't problems that he can't solve. You know what I mean? I think he's going to have trouble figuring them out in the first few rounds. It's going to be a lot of feeling out process, in my view. And then I think
you have to go. You have to go in the distance.
I do. Yep. I do. Now I'm not Nostradamus over here, but
I'll tell you what though. If you do, that'll be huge because you said what? He's a minus 1,200 favorite, and I know
there's no line on this one.
Who was the 1,200?
It was the Kambosos fight.
Okay. There's no line in it.
No, I don't. Not seen. Box Live didn't have one.
Okay, I got you. Hey, real quick, man, before we get out of here, I know we can't get into it too much, but I do want people to check out as we were talking about the Cruz fight.
Yeah.
And, we had talked about that.
Mishiro, the Mishiro Cruz fight. That's on DAZN on Saturday as well. I think that's on. No, I'm sorry, ESPN. I think that's on the undercard. It's on the undercard of the Hitchins fight. It's an IBF lightweight eliminator.
And Cruz this is only his 6th pro fight.
Yeah.
He beat Davis multiple times in the amateur fights. He's a Cuban fighter, so the pedigree that is with him and what he's grown up around. But also, real quick, what I want to get into, Ennis is his coach, is his trainer now. But you know what I'm saying? So having said that, he is now going to start teaching him the Philly shell. You know what I'm saying? His defense is going to line up. He's already a natural. He's young, but he's already natural. That's going to be pretty. I'm interested to see that, man. I'm interested to see this fight, and I understand you would think, oh my goodness, man, you only have 5 fights. What is this guy doing on? But Boozy Ennis is your trainer. I'm interested, and he's in the gym with boots and that. Yeah, that could be a nice little stable. Yeah. I'm interested to see that one, man. And they both throw heavy leather. Both, Mishiro and your boy Cruz. If that one goes the distance, I'll be surprised. I'll be real surprised. If that one sees the beginning of the 9th round, I'll be shocked. I think it's only scheduled for 10. So if it sees the last 2 rounds, I want to say if it sees the end of the 6th, I'll be surprised. These cats are fitting to throw leather, man. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I think you're right. And for them to put Cruz on that pedestal, I think he's going to deliver. Absolutely. Yeah,
that's huge. He can do nothing. If you lose, this is your 5th, 6th fight. What are you doing on TV? But if you give a decent performance, and if you win, and you're in Boots' corner, Ennis is in your stable, Boozy's your trainer. This is truly a win for Cruz. All you got to do is do what you're supposed to do. Do what you're supposed to do. And when I say do what you're supposed to do, follow the game plan, because there's a lot of guys that you can come out and do what you're supposed to do, but it just didn't go your way. That's combat sports. That's why you play. That's why you play the games. That's why you have the matches. You know what I mean? Because we have on tape, I should have beat you. On paper, I should have beat you. But we still got to get it done to find out. So having said that, this is going to be a good one. But if he comes in and follows the game plan and is competitive, takes it into deep waters, possibly goes the distance, loses 115, 113, and he's still young, because he's already got hype, because he's the last cat to beat Davis. He beat him twice in amateurs. And it's going to be a good one, Drew. It's going to be a good one, man.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that one, definitely. Well, hey, we got to wrap this one up. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Don't forget to like the videos. Thank you for subscribing. Hit that subscribe button, man. We got content every week. He's Chops. I'm Drew. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you for watching the Haymakers and Submissions podcast. You can find us on the ESEN network on the Roku app every Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, beginning on October 4th, 2024. Check us out on Twitter X. Our handle is @HeySubPod, capital H, capital S, capital P. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a single episode. Just go to your web browser and type in www.youtube.com/@Haymakers and Submissions podcast, as we will drop content weekly. Whether it's boxing, MMA, or wrestling that gets you fired up, you'll get all you need right here at the Haymakers and Submissions podcast.